Don't shoot the messenger.
All right, poor people everywhere are talking about rioting if they don't get their SNAP and EBT benefits because the government shut down. Fuck, let's talk about it. You know, rumors get spread on the internet, usually by some troll account that gets picked up accidentally, in most cases, not always, but accidentally by some famous influencer account, and then everybody has mass panic over something. Well, that brings us to today, where Cardi B, who, is an astrophysicist type of mentality, has now gaslit her audience by saying that they're not going to get their EBT or their SNAP, which really says a lot about her audience. But they're not going to get their EBT or SNAP this month or next month if the government doesn't get their shit back together, and they should prepare for, to be broke, maybe riot, steal stuff. Matter of fact, I see a lot of videos on the internet right now with people saying if they don't get their EBT or whatever, I don't know how that shit works. If they don't get their money this month from the government, they're just going to steal from grocery stores, which, by the way, taxpayers, cost us more money. It costs money for incarceration. So then they not only steal from the store, which costs the store and insurance money, they steal from us, the taxpayer, because now we got to use our tax dollars to pay police to arrest them. So they're still taking government money from us. They're still being lazy, non-productive, useless members of society, parasitically leeching off of our tax dollars that you and I work hard for 8 months out of the year before we get to see a dollar outside of taxes. That's just how it is. But this is where it gets interesting, y'all. The low IQ crowd that needs SNAP and EBT doesn't understand that the government shutdown's not going to affect their payments. The government's not stupid. They don't want a bunch of poor dumbasses running around rioting, causing even more problems. It's easier just to figure out how to pay them with the government shutdown than it is to deal with the insurance repercussions, businesses being robbed and looted, and we know what the fuck's coming. So while our military isn't getting paid right now, the people in this country that are the least productive, least good examples, and the least needed motherfuckers in this country are going to get their checks, but not because they are deserving, just because we don't want to deal with their low IQ, low income thinking and the damages and the riots they'll cause if we don't let them be parasitic leeches on our tax dollars. That's just the truth, y'all. And if you don't like that that's being said about you, if you're one of them watching this and you're like, hey, I get this, man, maybe change.
Well, I mean, he said a lot right there. So now this is probably rage bait. Shout out to him, hardcore clothes on Instagram. Now, I don't think that every poor person or everybody on EBT is necessarily low IQ. A lot of people just don't have the information. Information is something that is very powerful. A lot of people miss out on the information. And it all depends on where you live geographically, the people you surround yourself with. All of that plays a huge role. Like I mentioned in one of my other videos, I went to the hood and I was just asking people, hey, you know anything about blockchain? Like, you know anything about, these artificial intelligence? And like none of them, knew anything about it, right? And it's not just people that are in the hood, like even the average middle class person, none of them even thinks about the future, right? Most people are just trying to figure out how they can make $1 today, make $1 tomorrow. That's why things like sports betting is so popular, gambling and stuff. People want to get rich today when in reality, that time, the next 5 years, 10 years is going to come anyway. And most people just can't or don't want to really invest in that, right? And that's on the majority of economic levels. Obviously, if you're in the top 1%, you plan for the future. That's totally different because you have the information. But the people in these lower class systems, the people that, are that make less money, that generally, are on these programs, they can't think that way because they are so, held down or set back for the right now, right? They have bills right now. They have to eat right now. They have to, they need everything right now that, for most people, they can't dig out of that hole, and I think a lot of it starts with education, right? So I'll give you an example, and I've been talking about this for a while. I told people during the pandemic, for those that read this. This tells you everything that's going to happen. And if you read it now, everything that's happening right now is in this. And I talked about this when it came out during the pandemic, right? Food scarcity, artificial intelligence. It's everything that's going on right now is in this book, right? This is the global trends. This comes from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Okay, they're spies, right? So they have all of the information, right? And they pretty much talked about everything that's going on right now, right? So even though I talked about this, most people didn't take advantage of it, right? You already knew, like it talked about cryptocurrency and all of that stuff, right? Most people, even with this, wouldn't even know what to do with it. And, it's unfortunate, he in a sense, he's right because, I could see most definitely people running to loot Walmart and some of these other stores. I even see people talking about going to higher end areas and looting those stores. And it's unfortunate because people don't have the education. Even if you use ChatGPT and Google, like people don't even know what to even look up because for something like a ChatGPT to even work properly, you have to know what to look up, right? You have to ask it the right questions. You have to know how to actually use it to get the right outcome. But the thing is, in America, the educational system has failed everybody, right? And I know that, a lot of people are going to take his sentiment the incorrect way, right? They're going to, because he talked about Cardi B and her audience, which we know most of her audience is probably African American and Spanish. And here's the thing, right? Foreigners have it up over African Americans and white Americans. They got it. Like they come from way worse circumstances than people in America. That's the reason why when you see people come from South America, they already know how to build a house. Now, it may not be up to the United States code as far as building a home, but they can build a home from scratch, right? Because in some of these other countries, they don't even have shelter, right? They don't have EBT and social programming, like social programs. They don't have any of that stuff, right? So when they come here, it's like, damn, y'all are lazy, right? So you heard him mention that most poor people are lazy. People that are on EBT are lazy. Now, and of course, you have people that may be disabled, right? But that's how when these foreigners come here, right? So it's not just African Americans, it's white Americans as well that are victim to the system. And the way that America is designed, we have schools, we have libraries that are free, we have, different things set in place so that we can go learn. But the information that should be pushed isn't the information that is pushed. Like we should be learning about artificial intelligence, right? So like in China, like that's something that is, from what I understand, is being mandated. Like y'all have to learn artificial intelligence in school, right? We should be learning, skilled trades. Like when I was younger, a lot of skilled trades were pushed, right? And I'm 38. Skilled trades. When I was in high school, there were different schools you can go to that specialize in barbering, being a plumber, electrician. Like these things were pushed in schools, but it's not pushed right now. It's not, right? You are indoctrinated with the basic bullshit. Like none of it can really even, I went to high school, middle school, elementary school, college, and like none of the stuff that I learned could really help me in the real world, right? Like we should be learning how to do our taxes, right? Understanding our taxes. Most people get their taxes done and they don't even understand anything that is on any of the forms that they receive from their job, whether it's W-2s, whether it's 1099, whether it's things you can write off, things you can't write off, things you may qualify for as far as credits. Like we don't understand any of that stuff, right? So I think that from the top down, as far as the top meaning the federal government, like everything needs to be changed. And if I'm not mistaken, each state has control over their curriculum. But the reason why a lot of people are in this situation is because the system that was supposed to be designed to help and protect you has actually failed and has robbed you of things that you should know and things that you should be able to do and get access to. Like there are things out here that people can get access to that people don't even know about. I'll give you a prime example, like down payment assistance for a home. Most people don't know about that, right? It's not something that's plastered on the front of Instagram when you open up. It's not something you're not going to drive down the street and see a billboard for it. And and this is just an example of one piece of information, just one piece of information that could change your outlook, that could change the trajectory of your life, right? And Just think that's just one thing, but there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of pages of information out there that could help people, right? And most definitely moving forward for anybody that is, and I hate to say it this way, but I'm gonna just say it anyway. For anybody that is after this, that is still in the same position or situation, it's kind of your own fault, right? Like this should show you, like, all right, I gotta do something different. Like I can't depend on EBT. I can't depend on this. Can't depend on that. Let me create a savings account. Let me invest some money. Let me, do something so that you don't have to depend on the system, so that you don't have to go and ransack Walmart or ransack whatever local store just to get some food. So that way, a complete 180 or 360 in your priority, so that you don't end up in this situation again. Now, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. It is what it is. And I don't think that after this, with this learning experience, that people should ever depend on the system again. Get a better job, even though you may be on the assistance, still save your money some kind of way and figure out, like, all right, if this happens again, I got an extra $500, $1,000, whatever the amount is that you normally get, so that way you don't have to worry about this again. Because this will probably happen again. I mean, this for politicians, it's a game, right? They're going to get paid regardless. Like I said before, they come to DC with a couple 100,000, leave with a couple 100 million. So it's a game to them. Like their families aren't going to starve, right? I saw a interview with I don't want to butcher her name. She's a congresswoman, Lena Pauluna, I think that's her name. She was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and she was even talking about, like, she wants to get Congress to stop insider trading. And she said the consensus from Congress, men and women, that insider trade, that, I got to put my grandkids through college, right? So for them, it's all about self, right? So, even depending on any program, right? And this is one of the reasons why I say that America is one of the best places you could live. Just a simple fact, you get that. Like, you don't get that in some of these other countries. I know the only thing that you get in, like, the Caribbean, just I'm talking to people when I went to, like, Bermuda, Bahamas, is you get healthcare. But outside of that, like, I don't think you get, like, food stamps and, EBT and stuff like that. So, in America, at least you get a house, you get housing, Section 8, and then you get EBT, you get food, right? So that's why I say America is one of the best places to live, because you get these things. But you head down to Mexico and some of these other countries, Colombia and, El Salvador, some of these super, like, dirt poor countries, you don't get any of that. Like, if you're born without a house, you're going to live outside. Like, the government's not about to, most of these governments aren't going to do anything for you, right? So at the end of the day, America has a skill set problem. There is no way in hell I would just be on EBT forever or on Section 8 forever. And again, it's all about education, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know who to ask, and you don't know what to ask, right? So, with that being said, hopefully people make it through, and definitely tighten up on the skill set side. And that's just real.